After spending roughly the last 2 weeks doing multiple prints and recordings, I accidentally completely wiped the SD card on my camera, so I'm starting over from scratch other than what's already uploaded on YouTube. That being said, I have a bunch of test prints ready and we're just going to go over them. So the initial premise of this video was to see how well this would print different materials for, just the $100 that I paid for it. And with TPU being the material I wanted to play with the most with this printer, I ran a bunch of tests, and I don't really need to go over most of these as much as I want to go over this. What I hold here is indeed a speed tower ran with TPU. Other than this looking absolutely horrible in the corners and the detail work being less than ideal, this is very sturdy. I mean, for one, this printed, so the fact that this even finished this print, okay, I know I advertised this as a second printer, but I needed a second working printer because of me constantly working on my other printer. And so this thing will not even finish one of these prints when it's put together. It is insane. The amount of just half of the roll will just 100 mils a second. If you were doing what I want to do with this, which is replace automotive bushings, sway bar links, end links, stuff like that, you could totally model and replace a bushing in just a couple of hours and save a customer potentially days, even weeks of wait time. Not to mention, if you could produce this for, I don't know, $2.50, $3, and a polyurethane bushing replacement, that one bushing's anywhere from $10 to $20, you just saved a lot of money. And yeah, I'm phenomenally impressed with how well this is holding together even at that high of a speed. Like, the layer adhesion is still there. Very, 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 very. Now, this next set of abominations, this is not my work. I found this on Thingiverse. I believe it was Thingiverse. I use Yegi. So, Yegi.com, it's like a Google search engine for 3D printing. So, I get stuff from multiple sites and I often forget where I got them. Point being, this specific print was printed at the advertised 180 millimeters per second. Of course, this is average in the slicer, so the outer walls were done at 90, and the inner walls and infill and supports were all done at 180 millimeters a second. And just wow. And then this I decided to put all of the settings at 150 millimeters a second. The outer walls, the inner walls, the supports, and this came out clean, all things considered. I have no intentions of actually printing at this high of a speed, but the layer adhesion is actually still there. I'm sorry, that's a train going by. The layer... I really hate trains. The layer adhesion's there. I'm putting a fair amount of pressure on these, and oh, you could hear a small... Oh, well, I thought it was gonna crack. There we go. I had to put a fair amount of pressure behind that to get it to break, which I would say is pretty comparable to this printing at 60 millimeters a second. So other than the print quality, I guarantee I could dial this in. But now we're gonna get on to, these are my first real prints off of this using the test tower settings for PLA, and other than I definitely need to do some more retraction adjusting and probably work on my Z-hop a little bit better. This turned out really good. All of these did. This is a matte. It looks matte, other than the bottom. These silks turned out extremely shiny. And they mic out with intolerance, so these are very usable parts, which if you don't recognize this, this is part of Robert Murray Smith's simple axial generator design, and this is something I plan on doing testing on in a future video, as well as printing some more of these parts out. But this is the kind of quality you can expect off of this printer. Again, I only paid $100 for mine. They're normally only like $120, $130 brand new. So if you're just getting into printing, I very heavily recommend this. Speed is not always everything anyway, and I understand that Clipper is supposed to be like amazing, and I'm sure I'll think so after I get a chance to play with it. But I'm getting the same print quality at 130 millimeters a second on average than I'm used to getting off of 60 and 70 millimeters a second. So for me, this is already taking my print times and cutting them in half. I also want to mention that all of these tests, all of these were done with the standard 0.4 mil nozzle that comes with this, and these are all at a 0.3 mil layer height and 0.6 mil width, and it's printing at these speeds. So I'm pleased with the quality that the surface finish has, considering, not to mention the amount of friction that these don't really have. I'm really surprised this bed surface makes for a slick surface to work with. This bed material, I'm just falling in love with this bed material. So much so to a point that I decided to get one for the LK5 Pro. I'm excited. This looks so awesome. this is going to wrap it up for today. And guys, let's go out and print some shit.